Hello everyone, I wanted to check back with you because it's been a few weeks and I haven't had a chance to tell you more about what I have been working with. I was out of the country for a little bit, so I did not get a chance to work on the icons while I was gone. And in case you're wondering, I'm still working with the icons. We're still moving forward. We're still reviewing the work, and we're making this happen. It again, my call for you all is if you have designer friends or if you yourself want to try to help with this and design on your own, you're welcome to reach out to me and let me know. But I wanted to, and there was a suggestion in a previous video where they said, Andy, why don't you put the before and the after side to side? And I'm gonna try to do that, although they don't map out exactly the same. But I'll try to show you. So on your screen right now, you're seeing to the left at 24 by 24 oversized, and on the right hand side you have the after. Last time we talked, we were working on the before and we ended up on these icons up here with the note and the dollar sign. That's where I'm gonna pick up. And as you can tell, maybe by now, we have worked on 1, 2, 3, and 4 more rows. That brings the total of rows that we're working with to 14. And I believe we have something like 28 rows left, I mean in total. And so we don't have a ton more to do unless you count some of these icons over here for connections and statuses, which will also need a little bit of a revamp, but I'm not going to touch those right now. Right now we're just focusing on the work in resizing and editing icons for the adapting icons to the 24 pixel array. So let me just get this up and running here a little bit better so it matches up a little bit closer to what you're seeing on the left. So taking a look at this ones, we have a series of icons, and this is going to be a bit of a long one, but I hope you stick with me. So we have, as you can see, some icons are missing. I've explained the reason why that happens in Figma. But other than that, we have very similar icons that are placed here. And you notice, for example, in the node icons, I simplified the shapes, which makes it a little bit easier to see. For these icons right here in the middle, these are mostly used, to represent center justify all edges, left justify, right justify, paragraph or line spacing, all of that is here. So I try to actually change that up a little because it wasn't really conveying the meaning that I wanted to see. If you notice, for example, on these ones right here, this one is trying to say that these lines or these items are being separated, but instead we have these sort of connector looking icons. And I thought, hey, let's look at what applications are using these icons and make sure that they are understood. And so I try to do my best and organize them the way that they would represent the most for users. Then continuing with that, I updated some of these index looking icons for writing applications or applications that contain text boxes. And I try to make it a little more simplified. As you can tell, for example, there are some in the previous iteration there were various lines with a little bit of small representations of numbering, and they didn't seem consistent even between each other. So I was looking for something a little bit more clear, and I put these ones over here. Then there were a few more node icons. Again, this one's simplified, thickened out a little bit. Some of the icons here also standardized, and I will mention that some of these icons actually have applications in Kcalc and other spreadsheet applications, so that's why you're seeing some of these pop up over here. Anyway, I looked at them in the application itself, and I figured, hey, there is something that we could do here because they seem a little too thin, a little too iterative. They sort of shift positions. So I try to make that happen, and you see some of the results here. Again, more node icons. I thickened out the quotation icon because right now it's a little bit small. The bold icon looks perfect. Didn't touch that at all. Then we have other icons. My letter A right here, I'm not too happy with it. This little A. I probably will keep on working on it in a later revision. But, you know, from afar, it makes a lot of sense. So it's still looking all right. Instead, in the previous iteration, we had this A with an arrow up. I don't know if it was driving the message about capitalization as much. So I tried to change it. In fact, the B being the same size as the A didn't help much to make that connection for me. So I took a more critical view of it. Then, continuing with the work, I reused the shapes over here, as you can see, the before and after. So instead of putting it up top and kind of pushing the icon down, I put the icon in the middle and then gave it a side color. And since the color is sort of driven by this drop icon, I kept the drop icon the same as we used before. And then these other ones, again, another thing that you can afford yourself when you're working with 1 pixel thick lines. You can do a whole lot more, but it also can introduce a lot of, you know, shapes that are sometimes unintelligible. So if you look far back, they may be hard to see. So I try to simplify, and it seems to me that it's a little bit more clear. Actually, one of the interesting aspects of working with lines that are 2 pixels thick is that it pushes you as a designer to change your idea of what simple is. And so now you have even more constraints to say, well, I don't have enough space to represent everything. But that affords you as a designer a process in which you actually further simplify and make sometimes the symbols that you're representing with your icons become stronger. So I think I'm definitely seeing some of that work here. Now, again, continuing the collection, let's move on to the next line. And again, simple shapes, reworked shapes. The italics icon I didn't touch. I think it's perfect. So the AB icon, again, same deal. This is supposed to say that you are not capitalizing, you're keeping everything small caps. Then the S, the A, and B, still, I you know, the B here in the previous iteration is a little bit, you know, it allows you to do more detail, but in a new version it doesn't. I'm still not too convinced about my rendition of this circle in the B, but when the time comes, I'll do a revision and try to see how I can make that better. But that's just to my taste. If you think it's okay, then it's okay. Then underline as well. The straight line. Sorry, this is the highlight. My bad. And this is the underline. Then this AB, sort of capitalizing. Again, my B is not beautiful. I think I need to do more work there. When it comes to actually fonts, it's a bit difficult because you could, for example, simplify your work and say, I'm just going to type the letters using text. And that is maybe okay, except that the fonts don't follow the pixel perfect guides that we're trying to do here. And so it makes it that much harder to align. Instead, what is left for the designer is to actually draw the shapes using the pen tool, and that can sometimes lead to some funky looking things. So I'm committing myself to reviewing some of these character driven icons. Then a few other simple shapes. I try to actually give the reward or the award icon a little bit more punch, because for example on this one the ribbon is the longest thing and the star and the circle sort of become second place, and nobody wants to be second place. So I was thinking the metal piece of it needs to be bigger to be more representative, so I changed that. As you can see, the grid icon got simplified. In this one we have a row of 5 by 5, which is very detailed, but in the new one is 3 by 3, and it makes perfect sense. Then for the other ones, again, more simplification. For the bars right here, for the trophy icon, I honestly kept it the same. It looks great. There isn't a whole lot that I could do to it to make it better. Then the lamp icon, I try to change it up a little bit, because the lamp icon, our lamp icon needs a little bit of love. It seems a little too simple to me. So I made it like this. And again, I follow just, online guidance of what other people do with these icons, and I try to make something along those lines. Then the checkbox, the arrow up, as you can see, for the earth icon, honestly, I didn't want to touch it very much because the continent looking graphics in the middle, they're just great. I just thickened out the circle and that's all I did. For the filter icon, I try to give it a little bit more presence. And to me, having the X cut into the line of this filter icon, that's not amazing. It feels like it's not giving enough meaning to the shape. So reusing some of the shapes we already have, I just brought the X over here and thickened out the filter icon. Then we have the sum icon. And again, the bucket icon that I changed because this is actually a bucket icon in the previous example. Then again, another thing I noticed is that for KCalc or calculator, I can't remember which one it was, we happen to have icons that are exactly the same for representing the union of cells, merging cells, deleting cells and columns. And so I said to myself, well, why are we doing them different, right? For KCalc versus, the rest of the system. We can just have the same because they truly represent the same thing. So I went ahead and I just basically created the same shapes and thinking out a few others. This icon right here, it was a bit puzzling to me. I researched it a little bit, and it's some kind of join icon. Actually drop down icon. So if you create sections in KCalc and you want the system to give you filters automatically, this was the icon before. And to me, it didn't seem to say or signify that you're working with filters. So instead, I figured, okay, well, the filters in KCalc are a drop-down menu where you choose one or the other. So I represented it this way instead. For the rest of the icons, again, you see some repeats, as you can see here. So nothing much to do there. That was pretty quick for me. Then the saga continues, right? So the icons are, some more repeats, and I'm not going to bore you with just going through them. Again, some reworks, some alignments. I don't think I did anything earth-shattering here, so this is not crazy. Some of the icons, for example, if you notice here, these two icons, they are supposed to represent the opposite of each other, the opposite state of each other. Add a link or send a link and then get a link. And I figured, hey, I don't know why they look different, so I'm going to unify their look by doing this. So it makes more sense to me. Then a few others over here. If you notice, we have like sort of like a horizontal page. When we already have a vertical page, there is no difference why one should be horizontal than the other, unless you want to be extremely representative of what you have on the screen. Then, for this arrow icon, we already have this icon on our system, so we don't have to, think about it too much. Then the enter icon, again, I simplified it. I took the shadow out because really none of the rest of the icons have shadows, so I didn't see the need for doing that. Then the rest of the icons seem very simple, very organized, just very representative of what they do. For these two shapes right here, as you can see, these are the ones that sort of give you the ability to scroll up and down or unify some things. So I try to make them a little bit more clear of what they're doing. For example, this one is supposed to show that it's separating items versus this one, which is, it's trying to say the same thing, but with the shapes together, tied together. Then the rest of the icons are, there we go, hold on. It's just that Figma picks up on this mouse sometimes. And, all of the other icons is just stuff that you have already seen, and I think we can represent very quickly. These items right here, these arrows, I redid them because they, for example, in this one, they're almost touching each other, and if you look very critically at this looks like a letter K, and that's not what we want to represent, right? What we want to represent is that things go all the way back to the front. Plus, these icons actually, we received for these direction icons, we have received feedback from the community that these icons are just too large. And so, for example, if you have an application like Elisa, like Amarok, like an application that does music or video reproduction, these icons look unusually large, and not only that, they're thin, and so they look even larger. So I try to restrict myself to the size of these icons, and now you see that they are a little bit more contained. If they need to be smaller, I'm very open to making them smaller so that they look almost the same. That way we can, kind of do away with that interesting representation we had. For the home icon, I just kept pretty much the same. I just taken out the lines. Then there are some flags and some cubes. Again, try to organize the look of them and reuse some of the previous arrows that we had created in this new collection. And for the stop, right stop icon, I just made the icon a little bit smaller and the circle a little bit larger, because look, if you look at it from far away, you can still see the dot. But I felt like when I did this on the previous icon collection, the dot was sort of gone or too small. So anyway, that's just one critical look at that icon. Then for the last part, we have a few repeats. Just reworks of the same icon family, and just working through it. One icon that I'm intrigued by is this icon right here. I try to look up online on our database what it does and where it works, and I still don't understand what it does. So if you have information about this icon is wanted. So you just let me know if you know what it's used for. Again, we have other representations here, our folder and our arrow, we already have that. Our back bracket icon, it's there. And then we have these new representations of the arrow icons. For this index icon, I tried to do something more standard. I didn't think that it looked standard enough to do an icon like this. So I reworked it in this way. Then the other letters are just, simple shapes we already have that we have done before. This one still needs to be reworked, I just noticed. But the information icon is a little bit different. And I still need to work on the help icon. And a few others in this row. But some of them are already finished. So this is where I'm currently working. So our X button, and then this new, social media representations. So there's about, something like 10 to 15 icons that need to be completed in this row. Anyway, that's the summary for this week, where the work is continuing. If you have any questions, let me know, reach out. And as always, if you want to help with this effort, just reach out to me and I can hook you up on the system that we're working with. Thanks so much.